everyone, and welcome back to the Black Girl Flow podcast. We hope that you are all doing well as always and enjoying the holiday season wherever you are. We are so happy that you guys are joining us for yet another episode. And for those listening, y'all know we like to start off our episodes with a quick, cute little pulse check. So, Lexi, I'm going to pass it to you. How are you feeling? Mind, body, and soul.
I've been in a silly, goofy mood.
We love it. We love it. We love it.
Y'all, I have been pulling pranks on Olivia from a distance, and I'll say that this might be my new hobby because I'm into it.
She just gets a hoot out of it, y'all.
I
She
do. I get
literally
such a hoot.
she literally is just like trolling the heck out of me. Y'all have that friend whenever y'all go long distance, they start just trolling you and you're just like, wait till I get back.
But that's my way of staying connected because Olivia knows that if she texts me, like, hey, how's your week going? I'm just not going to respond. But if
Yeah.
she plays along with my games, then she knows that that's our form of staying in touch. So, yeah, I've gotten her with a couple prank calls. I be trolling her on her social media. So
All of the things.
please join in the festivities of this, joyful holiday season with
I just I just feel like Aquariuses simply just don't give a fuck anymore. Y'all are like, I'm gonna troll whoever I want to, and whenever they get upset, I'm just gonna laugh because society isn't real.
We're always, it's like simultaneously super meta, but then also very practical. That's where I find myself.
Yes.
But the holidays, they're going too quickly. It's so sad, but I have my whole holiday shopping list and I've still yet to execute on it because I just need to do it. So that's
Listen, I don't know who's getting presents this year. Like, no one's really asked me what I want. I haven't really asked anybody. I feel like we're all just kind of laying low. And then maybe when Christmas pops up, we'll be like, hey.
what? Not even for your birthday? Because your birthday is also coming up too.
Yeah, I've just been like laying low. I don't know. I feel like it's an interesting age where you're like kind of, I'm not sure. Can you be too old to receive gifts and stuff?
No, no,
Ever?
never.
I feel like at a certain age, you're the person that gets gifts for other people and you stop expecting to receive them.
No, no.
I
Whatever
don't know.
universe that is, I don't live there. I'm not a resident there.
Okay. Well, anyways, I hope that everyone's been enjoying the holiday season. Are you going to make a gingerbread house?
Probably. My
Okay.
my mother is actually coming to visit with my aunt.
Ooh.
So that'll be like a nice little pre-holiday. So we'll probably do some more holiday festive things. We're like gonna go to the Christmas parade and all this stuff. So that should be fun. But it kind of changed a little bit of like my holiday because then I'll be going home to Texas right after that. So it'll just be like a little bit different pace. But probably.
You know what they say about girls from Texas, right?
All right, Olivia, you've been home in Atlanta, and a couple episodes ago, you were kind of prepping for all of the emotions that go with that, and you've kind of done some major things since you've been there. So, you
I
want to update
know.
us on how being back in ATL has been?
Being back at home is like having a million things happen at once. At least this time that I've been back, because off rip, I went ahead and got my IUD taken out, which was a decision that I was thinking about for maybe like most of this year. I was thinking about, I'm not really sure if
Yeah.
birth control is causing negative effects on my mood. I also got really bad UTIs and I couldn't tell if it was linked to my IUD. And so I kept going to urologists, gynecologists to figure it out. And they told me that nothing was wrong. No doctor had any answers for it. And so I just eventually decided, hey, like, why don't I just go the holistic route, see how my body's feeling afterwards? And so far, it hasn't been a crazy transition or anything like that. I feel pretty stabilized. But at the same time, I definitely have gone through moods where I'm just like, I don't want to be around anybody. So
Mm.
I would love to hear
Maybe
other
so. Maybe
people's.
it's just actually your personality.
Maybe I'm just a little moody Capricorn.
Did it? Okay,
Yeah,
but the question I think everybody's gonna ask is, did it hurt as bad getting taken out as it does getting put in?
it didn't hurt getting put in for me. So it didn't hurt getting it taken out. It was a little uncomfortable both times. But I
Yeah.
know that I've heard some really horror stories about people getting it put in. I'm not sure if that has to do with pain level, gynecologist insertion, but for
Yeah.
me it was pretty um painless. But
Okay.
I'm going to be tracking how I'm feeling. So that's like one of my major life updates that's happened since
Wow.
being back home. I've also been feeling extremely feral and in heat. Um Please, we need a celibate woman support group because your girl is struggling. But in other news, what's new?
It's interesting though because we brought up a topic that maybe one day we'll touch back with. Um, but this idea that you almost have this residual body reliving time frame, and it's not just that like you're not feral because it's cuffing season, like it's because you're partially, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but it's like where your life was a year ago was in such a
Yeah.
vastly different place that you are now, like truly, like the growth has been on 10/10. So this like residual of where you were and what you were doing, quite, and who you were doing last year is like so counter to what you're doing now. So it's hard not to tap back into that same energy. Fair?
I'm a changed woman. I'm like Michelle Obama this year.
She okay, talk about she has popped out with some fits
She's
that
rebranding.
we would have never seen in the presidency, but she's looking fly.
We're going to manifest Michelle coming on the podcast.
I'm so here for that. Actually, on that note, we just gonna get into the episode because that is really that's the place I want to end it on. Because yes,
Yeah, let's
yes,
do it.
yes, yes, a million times yes. Um, okay, so we're continuing our flow series, which I'm really excited about. Seems like others have really enjoyed it too, in regards to us unpacking how and what flow is, how we cultivate it into our life. And the last episode, we really got the basics of what it is. And I love meditating on just the idea of flow. Like I said, there's this preconception that things just come easy to life. And I think sometimes when we think about flow, we just think about like going with the flow, but still the idea that there's some struggle or resistance, a part of that is super fascinating to me because I told y'all I'm reading Rest is Resistant by Trisha, who created the Nap Ministry. And even the idea of like these things that are vital to us, like will not come easy, like we have to fight for them, is so empowering to me. And it starts to cultivate some warm fuzzies. And I think that's really what we wanted to focus this episode on, was how do we know and how do we feel flow? Because we can talk about it all day long, and it can stay, as I like to say, very cerebral, so very much like intellectualizing it. But what we want to get to places of like, how do we know we've had it? Or how do we know we're experiencing it in our life? Because it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to really be in it. And some people might think, oh, I've never experienced flow, but maybe us unpacking how it feels to be in that flow state might spark for some people that they have experienced that before, or might spark their interest to say, how do I actually start doing that so that I can experience that in my life too?
Yeah, absolutely. I innately feel like we're all such spiritual beings and we get signs from the universe to pursue certain things to allow us to be more aligned with who we want to be and also more in flow with the version of ourselves that we see ourselves to be. And I have talked about this on the podcast before. Sometimes when you're receiving a bunch of signs to do something and pursue something, as a creative, you can become in this very like manic state of being like, I need
Mm.
to like put all my eggs in one basket, quit my job, fly to Mexico, live there, and pursue my lifelong dream of doing this. But when you move in haste and when you move with
Mm.
a scarcity mindset of feeling like, I need to do this right now because the moment's going to leave me, or
Mm.
I'm not going to be able to achieve the thing that I want to do because I have to get it done now. Like that's an example of not moving in flow. So I find that like that nervous energy or that anxious energy, when it's attached to my feeling of wanting to do something, that's an example of me not moving in flow. Where when I'm in flow, I feel more calm, more trusting of the universe, more
Mm.
patient with myself, more understanding, more gentle with the process that I'm making, even if it doesn't look exactly how I wanted it to look.
Oof. I love that. I really resonate with what you just said, especially marking the difference of those
Yeah.
two scenarios and how we might trap ourselves or convince ourselves that we've are doing that, but we might actually be forcing something else. And that flow is not that forcing, it's the alignment of those things. And I think that's something that we could probably all chew on and reflect and maybe think about scenarios where we forced it and it didn't reap the byproduct or deliverable that we thought it was going to, because of that tension versus the alignment that's necessary. And it's interesting for me because a lot of people talk about when they're in that flow state, kind of having this out of body experience where you are so focused on a task and you are leveraging all of your insights, particularly for that, like really channeling
Mm-hmm.
that, everything else kind of goes out the window, like your sense of time, any other inhibitions like aches and pains, and you kind of take yourself to this new level. And I freaking love that. Like, we already talked about meditation and journaling and reflection. And that idea to me feels like a superpower. Because
Mm.
if you can find that alignment, all of these other constructs that feel like barriers to us sometimes, like you can supersede that.
Yeah.
And y'all know I'm a little bit competitive. I'm a little bit of like, love those pushing life to its beautiful barriers. And like, that to me feels like doing it within yourself, of
Mm.
finding that brink, but it's so purposeful and aligned.
Yeah. I love that. For me, have I've come to the like realization that a lot of us right now, like we have this idea that we could be really great at a specific project, passion,
Mm-hmm.
career path. And we deny the state of being in flow because we're afraid of succeeding in that particular
Ooh,
passion.
speak
Like,
on it. Speak on it.
and it's really frustrating, I think, for me too, because when we get comfortable, we we just like get comfortable and we're like, what's in front of me is good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a good partner, good job, like good routine. It may not be all that I want, but it's not like doing me any harm or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that by having it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think I noticed this in my own life where I've always been like, in the depths of my soul, like I know I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur. Like I know I'm good at these particular things, but
Mm-hmm.
I deny the feeling of like action, the feeling of being in flow because of how
Mm-hmm.
comfortable I am. So
Mm.
I kind of want us to like dig deeper into why we sometimes become too comfortable and why we deny the state of being in flow.
Mm. Girl, let's pause because I think we all need to take accountability for how we have stood in our own way of
Yeah.
achieving this insight, achieving this, energy and receiving it in our life. So I think we can all really resonate with what you just shared. because if we don't take accountability for that, then we'll keep just kind of pointing to other exterior things, being like, oh, well, I,
Yeah.
like you said, oh, I can't move to Mexico because I don't have the funds. So it's
Right.
not that I don't want to do that. I can't do it right now. When in reality, it's like you said, we're kind of scared of what
Right.
happens. What happens when we step into that power? Like,
In 2023, I just want us to all like trust our gifts. If one thing, it's like trust your gifts and trust the state of flow. I saw this TikTok of this girl. She was talking about how she was supposed to be going to Germany to visit this guy that she had met and had a crazy connection with, and I think, and live with him. But as she's about to be on her layover flight to go to Germany, he tells her that, sorry, she's not going to be able to stay with him. He found someone else. And she could have been like, fuck this. I'm going back to the States. I'm gonna go cry over him, whatever. But she was
mm-hmm.
like, I still am gonna go to Germany. And so she went to Germany, ran into a friend of hers from high school, coincidentally. He invited her to a dinner party where she saw other people, and this person that was there was able to uh provide her the space to stay in their place because they were leaving, in this like
Mm.
beautiful apartment. And she's just like, because I was able to trust the flow, and because I was
Oh
able
yeah.
to trust in like my energy and like trust the places I was supposed to be, like I was able to experience this. And so when you release the anxiety of like, oh, it's not going to work out, or oh, I'll be too successful in this,
Yeah.
then you're able to just live and stay in like more of a peaceful and like
Yeah.
energetically aligned state.
Right. And I think it requires us, and we'll get into this in our final episode of the series, of like what tools we can use, because I think it's using all of your tools. Like, how do you be present? Listen to your intuition, like, trust the process, all of these things. Be mindful of your mindset and how you're approaching things to achieve this flow state, because it's all of that effort and work that it takes to get to the reward of, like you said, hindsight. She can be like, wow, yeah, this was always a part of the process. Even the struggle of, that the plans changing and things like that. Um, and we have to know that if we're not ready for the call of action for all of that, then we might just, again, I don't ever want to say that you missed the train, but maybe you have some more learning and growing to do before you take advantage of that. And I'll be 100% honest. When we talk about this, my example of when I've experienced kind of this flow state has been strongly associated with like a lot of the athletic and sports things that I've done, because it's that moment when I'm like really physically pushing myself that I can feel like I can also push my mind. And
Mm,
so I've run a couple of half marathons very casually, not a lot of training, but love this idea that when you focus on a task, you really do overcome some of these inhibitions, like your legs hurting, needing to eat all this stuff to complete this task.
yeah.
But when I think about flow state in my life, I agree with you in that we should really push ourselves into the new year to step into our gifts. But I'm tired. And
Mm,
people have asked me, like, oh, are you going to run a half marathon again? And I'm like, I have no energy. Like, I have none right now. And you're right sometimes, in the sense of, if you don't have the energy and you try and engage in this, you will deplete yourself,
yeah.
and it requires rest and resting. And I'm having to take two steps before even engaging in the flow process to say, where has my energy even gone that I'm so depleted? And before if that's really what's important to me, to be cultivating that flow and living life in alignment in that way,
Yeah.
we have gotten off track, or maybe not off track, but we don't know where our ducks are to even get them in order. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm really reckoning with, of, whoa, if I haven't been doing that with alignment and with intention and purpose, you can see how your life can get a little crazy and hectic, and you're sitting back being like, how did we even get here?
Yeah.
And that's definitely where I'm at, where I want, like you said, setting intentions for the new year of what we're bringing in and how we're using that energy and using our gifts for that. But I'm over here a little humble in the corner being like, yo, like, I'm all over the place and I'm dead. I'm dead. maybe
Yeah.
y'all go without me. I'm gonna stay at base camp.
Leave me in 2022. I can't go. I can't go any further.
I can't go. Tell me about the top, but I can't go.
Yeah, that's so real. And when I it's funny that you bring that up because this entire year I feel like I haven't done much.
Mm.
Like when it comes to passions, I feel like I've always been known as the person with like my clothing line,
Yeah.
with all of these things, and
We
I
swapped
haven't
lives.
invested really much time. And I was like, okay, I need this entire year to sit and figure
Mhm.
out what happened. Like, and when you're in a situation where you're like, dang, like I'm tired, when you escape that, like when you've come through it, you're really like skeptical and really just timid and trying to make sure you don't end up back in that place because it feels so tiring to be tired and to feel burnt
Mhm.
out. And I hope that in our future episodes, like we'll be able to discuss more about what it's like, you know, kind of that recovery process
Mhm.
after being in flow and being
Mhm.
able to, you know, recharge, what that looks like, discussing all of the tools because sometimes you'll need a year, sometimes you'll need 3 to 5 years. It
Yeah.
takes a while to recover.
Yeah. Well, I'm just really grateful for this conversation because it does remind me, as y'all know, I'm not the most ushy, gushy, mushy person, but it does remind me the value of us sitting in the feeling of it all. You know, that's why we wanted to dedicate this conversation solely to what are the feelings associated with the stages of flow, because if we're not clear on that, and I always say this in episodes regardless of the topic, if we're not clear on what we need, it's really hard to create practices and ask for what we need moving forward. So I appreciate that we can be really honest about how we're feeling and how we want flow to feel and be seen in our life. Because y'all might think, oh, if Liv and Lex quite literally have a podcast about being in flow, like they must be living in flow all the time. It's like, no, y'all, we got a podcast to hold ourselves accountable to this lifestyle. And we want you
Period.
all to also hold yourselves accountable too. That if you're listening, then we hope that you also want this for yourself. And I do think that there's something beautiful, and I'm sure we'll talk about this in the next episode too, of leaning on the people in our community too who also have gifts that can help us navigate these waters. Because even though I joked that y'all could go ahead and leave me at base camp, like I know you wouldn't. You'd be like, no, girl,
Yeah.
like we're gonna take you with us, even though you might not have the energy right now, because a win is a win. Like a win for one of us is a win for all of us. So I just appreciate being able to sit in all the feelings of this. And I hope other people spend some time thinking about what flow feels like in their life and just even how they feel about the idea of cultivating more flow.
Love that for us. Love that for the BGF community. And with that being said, we will close out this episode with peace, love, blessings, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, that wraps up our episode this week. Don't forget to go check out